I just wanted to quick give you an update here. Actually went out over there and you can't even see it here, but removed a big old stump, and you know, it actually worked out pretty darn well. And it dumped the big old stump out in the woods, and of course on the way back it stopped. Thank goodness it stopped here right next to the garage. Well, anyway, it acted just like it just died, and you know, ran out of fuel, and which it sort of did. I checked the fuel line on the other side, and there was no fuel coming whatsoever from the tank. And as you can see there in the bottom, there's the fuel line, and then of course there's a fuel tank. Well, the lid on here isn't all for convenience or optional. Actually, I had to take this thing on out, and bottom line is that the fuel line was obstructed. What was it obstructed with? Well, I can get this open here. You can see that I could just scoop it on out. I mean, that right there, blob, was in there. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Could even be, you know, if you run like biodiesel or whatever, there's all sorts of things that can happen, and it's kind of got a funny texture to it. And then in order to get all this stuff on out, took the vacuum cleaner. As you can see, that's what was in there. It is quite nasty. Of course, I'm going to dump that in the recycle oil bin, and that's one way of taking care of that. But bottom line is if you have fuel problems and it's cutting on out, well, it's probably time to pop that inspection cover on off and take a good look. And this tractor, by the way, or this Perkins, does not like being starved for fuel, so this thing is a stinker when it comes to getting that pump to get primed again. And I'll prime it the same way I did in an earlier video. So I think that pretty much covers it, but if you've got some nasty blockage and having fuel problems, the best thing to do is to drain the fuel out of the tank and do it on your terms rather than wherever it happens to be. I really lucked on out because I was way in the woods, and this thing went out on me, and I did need to get a vacuum cleaner. It would have been real hard to get a vacuum cleaner out in the woods with it being so far away from an outlet. So that pretty much covers it. Thanks for watching. Well, I did a little bit of research trying to find out a little bit more what that stuff was in the fuel tank, and it was interesting to discover that it's actually microbial material. And really it requires two different things. One is you need to get some fuel, which is obvious. The other part, which is there has to be some water in the tank. And in between these two layers, it's actually the perfect environment for it to grow this bio material. And I didn't show it in the video when I did the cleaning of the tank, but there was a layer of water at the very bottom of the fuel tank, and it was by the way, the fuel pickup actually protrudes like an inch above the bottom of the tank. So so it's never possible to completely empty out all the water that's in the tank. Yeah, I guess that's good in some ways. You'll never get water in the tank. The water, of course, has a higher specific gravity. It'll always be at the bottom, and the fuel will be on top. But on the bad side is that if it actually creates, if you have water in your tank, it actually creates the environment where you can actually get this biofilm. So anyway, there's this biofilm material that was growing in there, and you know, it looks pretty nasty. And if you look a little bit more, by the way, you can look at these websites. There's another website here which actually has some really good pictures on it. Same sort of thing here, where you've got your fuel in the top, water layer in the bottom, and that layer in between is where that biological material will grow. And if you just scroll on down to the pictures, and viola, that's what I had in the tank. It really looks like a rubbery type of compound. It's hard to believe that it's actually some sort of a bio type product, or I shouldn't say product. It's a bio type of reaction. Granted, the vehicle or the tractor I had is vintage late 80s. Probably never had the fuel tank cleaned on out. And just through the cycling of hot and cold, the water probably condensated in there, and it's just a natural result. But it's quite nasty in there, and I'm going to have to put some fuel additives in there to kill any residual sorts of microbiological material that's in there. And you can see, boy, this stuff is really nasty. I mean, it's quite disgusting when you think about it. The filters, and so if you see evidence of this, wondering what the heck's going on, it's probably that you see this type of material in your fuel filters. It's probably a good indication that you need to at least put some additive in, or really take that, maybe even drain the fuel on out and clean it on out. So that's one picture, set of pictures here, and there's one other one here. This is by Dow. And if you look at some of the photos that they have, I mean, the same sort of thing. Fungus. By the way, it's not algae. Algae requires sunlight, so so it's some sort of a bacterial type of biological material, and you get this crud growing in there, and and here's a fuel tank. It is really nasty stuff. It's just anyway. So bottom line is that I know what it is. I know what caused it. I will show you a little bit of the picture showing the fuel pickup is above the bottom of an inch. And again, that's so if there is water in the tank, there's always going to be an inch of water in the tank. It's a perfect environment for growing this nasty stuff. And anyway, it just kind of one of those FYIs. So I think that pretty much covers everything. I'm going to have a couple little clips on the filters that are on the Perkins diesel, which may or may not be interesting to you, but it's kind of neat how they have all these filters on there, even though there's really 3 different filters on the Perkins diesel. And so anyway, if you got an obstruction or this type of material, you can be chasing this stuff, and it's just kind of FYI. So I think that pretty much covers everything. I hope we found this part at least a little bit interesting, and maybe even concerning. I think this can happen in trucks, heavy equipment, as well as marine applications. So probably a good idea to at least check your fuel filters and you see if you have any evidence of this, and if you do, then you're going to have to do some sort of remedy. So that's it for this part.